So welcome everybody to the what's the name of the podcast?
Colts cut Darius Leonard.
Okay.
Vince, why do you think they did it? Like, honestly.
He hasn't played as well as he has in the past. Like, he hasn't been able to get back to his peak.
And what's his peak?
since
Just so I have an understanding of what you think his peak was.
first 2 years, you can argue 3, but I'll say first 2 years. For instance, he led the league in tackles his rookie year, had 8 sacks too. Next year, he had 8 turnovers in, I believe, 5, if not 6 games. Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, he's just struggled to get back to his peak ever since he had back surgery. That's one reason.
So you just feel like you're saying that he's not performing at the superstar level that he used to, or are you just saying that he's just not doing anything?
Yeah.
Are you saying he's worse than a replacement player at this point?
I'm saying
It's
he's
a liability
not
on
as
the
good
field.
as he used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Well, then why would they cut him if he's not a liability? Because they still got to
That's
pay
right.
him if nobody picks him up. If nobody picks up him on waivers.
They're paying him right now, paying him like he is playing at what we're used to seeing him play at, without him actually doing that. So they're overpaying him, basically, is what I'm getting at.
But they're going to still be
yeah,
paying him, though. If nobody picks him up
Mm.
off of waivers, they still have to pay his contract.
That's why I was confused why they just straight up cut him instead of at least tried to trade him.
Well, why do you think that's so? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I have no clue. You'd have to ask the Colts organization that. But yeah, as far as why I think they cut him was, yeah, he struggled to get back to where he was ever since back surgery. That's one reason. And then another is Zaire Franklin has been awesome the past 2 years, kind of picking up where Leonard left off. Last year he finished, I believe, second in the league in tackles. And he may not lead the league right now, I don't know. I do know that about 3 weeks ago, I think, though, Zaire Franklin was fourth again in tackles in the league. So anyway, he's basically come in and replaced Leonard anyway, or taken that role of the team.
Okay, big.
Those are just 2 ideas I thought about last night of reasons why they could have let him go.
I think that they cut him because the Colts organization is simply in shambles.
Oh.
I think that right now their direction, where their general manager sees the organization is going, is not in the right direction. I mean, you draft a guy super high with Anthony, the draft of Anthony Richard. Unfortunately, he was injured. That's a position where it's not working out. Gardner Minshew is certainly not the answer at quarterback, and right now they're looking at opportunities to see where they can potentially drop some salary and see where they can maybe rebuild that position either through the draft or through free agency next year. Darius Leonard. So linebackers, don't have, in my opinion, unless your name is Ray Lewis or like a Terrell Suggs or someone of that sort of level, don't have particularly a lot of longevity, And I think that while there's still some value with Leonard, I just think that he's just not the player that he used to be.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. He struggled to get back to his peak ever since he had back surgery. I agree with a lot of what you said, yeah.
Well, I agree, especially with that last point. Linebackers just don't have longevity because of the physicality of that position.
Mhm.
They are the quarterback of the defense, but at the same time, they're the quarterback of the defense, taking 100 hits more than anybody else on the defense. It feels like.
Right.
Well, not minus D linemen. D linemen are taking a hit every play, I guess.
I was going to say the only guys who make contact literally every play is D or offensive lineman.
There you go. The thing, what it crossed my mind with this Darius Leonard situation is, I think that they're trying to do him a solid by this cut, actually. So that the organization, I agree with Big, they can see that they're probably not a playoff team at this point in time with who they have at quarterback, with Gardner Minshew, with Richardson being out. So I think that they're doing him a solid by cutting him. They're going to still be paying him, obviously, if a team doesn't pick him up right away. And he can go to a team that he thinks, with his best fit for him, for one, and that can win a Super Bowl, right? That's what every player wants to do, is try to win a Super Bowl. So I almost feel like they're doing him a solid by cutting him. And I kind of agree with Big. It's more of a change of the guard type situation, where it's like they kind of have their guy, or they might want to move forward. And obviously Zaire Franklin's playing fantastic. I agree with you, Vince. But do you think that Darius Leonard has something to do with it, like mentorship wise? He was out for those seasons. Do you think he was helping him through these past couple of years on the sideline?
Zaire Franklin spoke on that. Yeah, he said he's done a few drills and stuff and taken advice from Leonard. He said he's been a big part of his progression, for lack of a better term.
Because I'm not so sure. I don't see Darius Leonard as a cancer, and I'm not saying that's why they cut him, because he's a cancer. I do find it difficult for it to be a negative cut. I just see this as doing him a solid. That's my whole idea with it. I just feel like they're doing him a solid by allowing him to go find a team that might win a Super Bowl.
I would agree, but at the same time, anyone that is looking to pick him up will probably be scared because he has struggled since back surgery. Back injuries are major. You can't move any part of your body really without moving your back in some way, shape, or form.
Well, we're going to certainly have to talk about this. What team will take a shot? There's going to be a lot of teams just for name recognition that are like, oh, maybe if he comes to our team, he'll go back to his prime self, especially because they don't have to pay him all the money that the Colts are paying him after a couple waiver wire passes. It's going to be interesting to see what teams are screaming to get Darius Leonard. Even if he's not a starting caliber linebacker, the mentorship and the personality of Darius Leonard will help a lot of teams out. You're muted.
I'm muted, yeah.
Such a rookie move. I can see the Philadelphia Eagles taking a run at Darius Leonard.
Linebackers
certainly an area where they're not particularly good at, and with having placed N'Kobe Dean on injured reserve just last week, I can see them potentially taking a look at him. And if the very least, if they do not sign him, I think you have to give him a look. You bring him in, you work the guy out. Obviously, the Eagles probably dead last on the waiver wire claims. So if he clears wires, I certainly could see them picking him up and kicking the tires, as they say.
Well, he's gonna have to, or you're paying him all that money that the Colts are supposed to be paying him, or some of it, not all of it, but you'll be paying some of it.
Right.
So I think the best move is to let him go through waivers. Obviously, one of these bad teams like the Cardinals, the Bears, they could obviously take their shot with him if they wanted to. I don't know if they will.
I don't think I don't think anyone that's not in contention. I mean, heck, the Cowboys may even make a run at him.
With Leighton Vander Esch being out as well, yeah.
Right.
Oh, that reminds me. How do you feel about Miles Jack, Big? Real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this. How do you feel about Miles Jack? Because he retired and then unretired, but now he's not playing with you guys, and he might go to the Steelers. I'm just curious what you think about that.
So, I think that he shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think that if you retire, because again, I don't know how they paid him.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't make it about the money or anything of that nature. But I certainly do think that since he was in camp with the Eagles, he signed as a free agent. I feel like they should still own his rights, and he should, the Eagles should receive some sort of compensation if he was to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was just curious. And I know players that do retire usually do, the team that they retired with usually retains their rights, like Gronk. Obviously, Gronk had to get traded before he unretired with the Patriots or the Buccaneers. I was just curious because I saw the story with Miles Jack and it interested me. But no, back to Darius Leonard. I think what do you guys see? What team do you guys see picking him up? Like realistically, outside of the Eagles, the Cowboys, as you mentioned.
As you say, Eagles was an interesting one, and I would agree with it because are they terrible there? No, but they're definitely not strong there. And
they're absolutely terrible there.
Who's their starting linebacker, Vince? Middle linebacker.
Again, I would have said Dean, but I didn't realize he was out. So yeah, I would definitely agree with Eagles then. On big take on that. You said other than Eagles and Cowboys though, so I'll think for a second.
Just because Big mentioned him, I was just a little curious.
You guys can give your take on it. What I'm thinking.
I could see him easily becoming a Steeler. I don't know. That just seems like a move that they would make.
Yeah, Steelers love their linebackers.
Mm-hmm. And they haven't really been set at the position since Ryan Shazier unfortunately had that career-ending injury. It wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers gave him a look. They're still in this position trying to contend. They just fired Matt Canada, which all the Steelers fans were praying for, and it finally happened. So I can see the Steelers making a run at it.
Yeah, Matt Canada was their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they hated him.
Okay.
Steelers fans hated him out there.
Yeah, I don't think the Steelers' offense has been good since Todd Haley.
It's been a while. It's been a very long time since the Killer Bees, I would think.
Hey, if we're being honest, they've never been known to be an offensive juggernaut, but they were really good under Alex. I said Alex Haley, like he's Roots. What's that guy's name? Is it Alex Haley?
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. I just know when they had the Killer Bees. Yeah. The Killer Bees was their best though.
Todd Haley, I thought was their offense with Big Ben was really solid, and also with the former Cardinals former head coach, thought they were really good with those guys there when they had them in play.
Mm. Come up with any ideas, Vince? I'm still trying to think of teams as well. I don't know if too many teams that need I can't think of the Dolphins starting linebacker right now.
Dolphins did occur to me because obviously their offense is best in the league, but they struggle on defense. I wouldn't like to
I don't
see
think they
the
struggle on
Dolphins
defense.
Patriots,
I watched them play great against the Raiders, honestly. Ramsey had the 2 interceptions. I thought their defense played fine.
Yeah.
That's one game, though. They have struggled in other games, though. But yeah.
I honestly... Arizona?
Just let me finish. It sounds crazy. But yeah, just because they tend... It seems like they like smaller linebackers, right? Because they moved safeties to linebacker in the past.
But who's their linebacker right now, Vince? Do you know?
Isaiah Simmons.
It's Zaven Collins. Who they took.
Isaiah Simmons plays for the Giants.
He plays for the Giants. Yeah, Zaven Collins is their middle linebacker. He was a top 15 pick 2-3 years ago. He's actually very solid. He's a very solid linebacker. They also have Kaiser White. So they got some linebackers.
But again, the thinking behind that was just like the type of linebackers they have at in the past are smaller because for those who don't know, I know you guys do. Leonard dropped a lot of weight. Like he's only 215 pounds right now. So
okay, but is that one of the reasons why he's struggling? Anyways, no. So why would if Darius Leonard clears through waivers, why would he want to sign with the Cardinals? So you're saying the Cardinals pick him up on waivers? Well, that's what I was asking. What about realistically?
He is a Cardinal type linebacker. I didn't say he wanted to go there. He probably doesn't. He shouldn't go there. But I just said that because I feel he's kind of the linebacker they've had in the past or have liked in the past.
I said realistically, I just don't see it happening. I actually think that the Eagles is probably the perfect match.
And I agree.
Because again, even if he's not the same player and he is like a rotational linebacker that comes in, he's still going to be able to help. He's still going to be able to help those younger linebackers when they get back.
I'm trying to think who the Bengals linebackers are.
We'll get into the Bengals, but I don't think that they're going to be trying to pick up Darius Leonard at this point after what happened on Thursday night. But that's it with Darius Leonard, unless you guys have anything else to say about it. I just thought it was kind of interesting that they did cut him. I don't see a team picking him up on the waivers. I think he will clear, and he'll probably maybe take a couple weeks off to decide what the best route for him is, personally. Does he have any ties with any teams? Do you guys know?
What do you mean?
Like where he went to school, where he was born, anything like that?
That's why. That's part of the reason why I felt like the Eagles stuck out to me. Did Nick Sirianni coach him when he was with the Colts?
Vince would know that one. I wouldn't know that one.
Those guys over there. Well, I don't think Vince even knows Sirianni was a Colts coach. So.
No, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, like I said, if he has ties with somebody, the Eagles, a contending team that does need some help at linebacker, it makes sense to me. As far as fit goes, I think that's probably the best match. Will he go to the Eagles? Probably not. He'll go to some weird team. I don't know. He'll probably go to the Lions for some reason. but we'll see. You good, Vince? You like staring in the computer so
Yeah,
long?
I'm looking up what college he went to, etc.
I feel like I know what college he went to. I could like picture him in his uniform.
He went to South Carolina State.
Would not have guessed South. I'm gonna be honest. I would not have guessed South Carolina State.
He,
I would have been
never
lying
guessed
if I would have said I would have been lying. There's zero chance I would have guessed
never
South
got
Carolina
that.
State.
Let me look where he grew up. That's a better,
Just hometown
probably
real
a
quick.
better.
No, so I think we're done probably with the Darius Leonard situation. Do you guys want to go straight to MVP conversation, or do you want to talk about last night's game?
Let's talk about the MVP.
The MVP conversation. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a close one. I feel like we don't have a for sure, guy that's the front runner right now. There's a couple names out there. Vince, are you
Okay,
Alright.
just real quick. Leonard
So
also played high school in South Carolina as well. But
South Carolina ties? Panthers? Well, I mean, North Carolina, obviously, but Panthers maybe? I doubt it.
So a couple of things that I want to address. Okay, CJ Stroud is a great talent. Okay, and he is really exceeding expectations. But has a rookie ever won? Actually, I think it was one rookie
Jim
that
Brown.
won the MVP.
Jim Brown, yeah, back in World War One.
And I if I was an MVP voter, I don't know that I can this particular season just get behind a guy and that's a rookie and just say, hey, you're an MVP. There's a couple different reasons why I think that, one, I am basing it off of overall record and where your team is going. I think that, while those guys have a lot of potential, I don't see them. I don't know. I don't know that they make the playoffs. I feel like they're going to miss the playoffs. And I can't call someone an MVP who didn't even at least get into the tournament. Now, if he does get into the tournament, then we can potentially revisit CJ Stroud's name. That's my main reason. I think that it's stats. We're looking at the stats, and I mean the guy throws the ball a lot of times a game. They basically have absolutely no run game, and if you supplement some of that running with just some of those passes with some runs, his numbers doesn't look the way he has. I mean, they look like every other quarterback at that point. But right now it's lights out because he's throwing the ball 40 times a game. Now, granted, with great accuracy, and his guys are actually catching the ball, and I gotta actually say, from that point of view, the guy's certainly in the conversation. But as a rookie, I can't, unless they get into the tournament and that they get past round one, then I would happily say that he's an MVP.
So at this point in time, who are you taking? I know we talked mid-season. It was Lamar. Has it changed?
No, I still probably say that in my mind. And again, I'm not an MVP voter, so I'm going based off of how important they are to their team specifically. For the just knowing the Andy Reid and how his teams are. If Mahomes went down, I still feel like that team would still win. If the Ravens lose Lamar Jackson like they did last year, I think that changes the complete landscape of that team. Doesn't mean that they can't win, but I think it certainly changes the landscape of the team. If Jalen Hurts goes down, it changes the landscape of that team. So I that's what I am basing my decision off of, whom I think is the MVP. But again, just because I said it doesn't make it gospel.
And I don't.
I was just gonna say, Dwight likes to boast that his backup quarterback is a Pro Bowl quarterback, but so they might be able to still win as much, probably not.
Vince, his record. You're talking about Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley's record as a starting quarterback is 2-3
Getty made trouble. That's interesting.
with a negative interception to touchdown ratio too. And the actual reason that happened, just because I'm sure you haven't done any research about it, it's just because all the quarterbacks that were picked were either injured or declined to go to the Pro Bowl. So he was one of the last people, not one of the last people, but he was one of the people that actually decided to accept. But it still gets marked as a Pro Bowl on his thing. That's why Pro Bowl voting is skewed always. That's why we can't look at Pro Bowls anymore. No, my thing, you said that I don't agree with if Patrick Mahomes goes down, that team still has a good shot just based off their targets. That defense is playing great. The defense will still play great, but the targets that on that team, other than Kelsey, and even Kelsey didn't look great against the Eagles. I don't agree with that. But they are second in pass attempts. The Chiefs are. They throw the second most pass attempts per game in the NFL this year. The Texans are actually 10th, so they're not even top 5 as far as pass attempts go. One of my things with that CJ Stroud talk was you said that their run game, obviously if they run more, his stats wouldn't look as great. The fact is they just can't run the football, so that they're passing, and teams know that they're passing, and CJ Stroud is still playing fairly well. He's still playing good, you know what I mean? And I agree with you. If he doesn't get in the tournament, there's zero shot he should have an MVP voting. I just don't see how that's the case. And Vince has argued this with me about guys not making the tournament and still getting votes as far as like certain things like All Pros and stuff like that. But we won't go there.
To me, at that point, it's not MVP. It's who has the best. It's who has the most stats. It's stat.
All Pro is completely different than an MVP. But...
It's stat.
I get you, Vince.
It's stat VP.
No, but
statistical valuable players.
Personally, and me and Vince had this conversation last night. I personally think that the Texans do have a legitimate shot to not only win that division. That's it. They just have a legitimate shot to win the division based off their schedule. I think this week is very important for them as far as like where I see them. If they can get a win this weekend against the Jags, who I think it's between them. Obviously the Jags are the Texans division right now. Texans are only a game back. They beat the Jags. They'll have the South, obviously, but it'll be a tie. They just have the tiebreaker there. It'd be very interesting. But if they get first in the South, CJ passes for 4,000 yards like he's on track to with a good touchdown to interception ratio, I think there's a good shot he gets a lot of votes. Does he win it? It still might be hard, but I think there's a really good shot he gets a lot of votes there.
Absolutely. And Matt and I was having this discussion just the other day via text. And I said to him, looking at the schedule, and this is deviating slightly from the MVP talk, but I think that this would, if I'm an MVP voter, this is something that I'm looking at. And I asked him, I said, I like the position that they're actually in right now. If they stay at that 6 seed, it's literally in the season ended today, they would be in the tournament and they would face the Jacksonville Jaguars first game. And it's really difficult to beat a team 3 times in a row. Mm-hmm. So I like those chances. However, I'm not to be, I hate to be that guy, but I'm like, dude, I don't like the matchup with CJ because if they move up too high, or if they fall down just one more slot, now you're playing the Baltimore Ravens.
But the Ravens have the 1 seed right now, so you'd be the Chiefs.
Well, yeah. Well, at the time we were talking,
I hear you.
So I'm like, I don't like that matchup in Baltimore in December. And and I told him I'm being fair, and if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what it is about Lamar. That guy's from Florida, right? Mm-hmm. But he got ice in his veins because you wouldn't know he's still out there in the cold with sleeves on, like he's a big man, playing football with his hand warmer on his butt cheek, ready to go. And like that Chiefs game, and it's November, it's going to be cold. It could potentially be rainy, and you know what? Without a run game, I don't see him going into Baltimore potentially in the wind, throwing the ball 40 times. I don't see it and winning. Mm-hmm. Now if the Ravens revert and they turn the ball over, which I just don't. You don't see a Jim Harbaugh team doing that in the in December. When games matter.
John Harbaugh, but I get you.
Yeah, John. You don't see them doing that in during the month of December doing games that matter. So I just don't. I don't like that, and I think that that would certainly affect him in the MVP
I hear
or
you.
his ability to win that MVP.
Well, I do think a lot of people would argue that postseason stats shouldn't matter to an MVP because they look at MVP as a regular season award. I don't know if I necessarily
Right. It is
agree.
a regular season award. It
Mm.
is.
So,
But I'm simply saying that under the circumstances, for me to, like I said, if I'm a voter and I'm voting for a rookie, the rookie has to get into the tournament and win at least a game. You know, and I know obviously it would be decided by then, but that's my criterion personally.
okay, go ahead, Vince. What do you think about not just CJ Stroud, but just the MVP conversation in general?
I still sticking with Lamar despite fumbles. We've talked about the fumbles.
It's been
And I'm
much
not
better.
even against it.
I will say it's been
Yeah,
much better.
it's improved. And also, once he has had it, excuse me, has it completely been on him? But yeah, I think it's between Lamar. I wouldn't be surprised if Hortz like plays better and sneaks in, but you would have to, yeah, definitely improve. But
No, it's a three-man
as
race in my
far as
mind.
yeah, as far as CJ, honestly, I think Tyreek Hill as a wide receiver has a better shot at making it than a rookie that may or may not even make the playoffs.
But I mean, you
Well,
at the same time, voters do love their stories, right? So voters might be more inclined to vote CJ Stroud be the first rookie to win MVP since Jim Brown. I mean, there's so many things that we could see happen. I feel like storylines play a big part in that too, which is unfortunate. But it's the media. They're gonna try to make it about some type of storyline as well.
you know, and again,
There's a little bit.
and that's a great point that you mean. You know, they love the story, but based off of this year he's having, just like Hurts last year, there is going to be a slump. To reasonably ask CJ to come out and produce these sorts of numbers with that low of turnover ratio year after year out is just it's absolutely it's not reasonable. And I think that if he wins an MVP, that's exactly what that fan base is going to want. And you know what? Like every other fan base, they're going to want their cake and eat it too. And I just don't. I don't want the rookie to have that pressure because I feel like things like that, unless you're named Peyton Manning, it can really destroy your it can really destroy your confidence and your career.
Confidence is really important for a quarterback too. And let's not undermine that for sure. Vince, I think I do agree with you. I think that Tyreek Hill has a not a better shot than CJ Stroud because they just don't vote for non-quarterbacks. But I do think Tyreek Hill should definitely be mentioned as well as Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is very important to the Niners as well. If we're just talking about non-quarterback MVPs, I feel like Tyreek and Christian McCaffrey are probably the top two as far as like leading that conversation. They
Right.
won't
Well,
they
that's
won't win
why I
it,
phrased
but I feel like they are to be mentioned.
Well, that's why I phrased it like that. Wide receivers don't win MVP, but yeah, I still see Hill having a better chance than Stroud, especially if Stroud doesn't make playoffs.
And as far as like my three MVP is like as far as like the top three for me, I think it is Hurts, I think it is Lamar, and I think it is still Mahomes. I think Mahomes is still in that conversation regardless of the loss. If you guys watched the game, you guys saw the drops, right? What about that beautiful throw to MVS deep down the field that could have possibly won them the game? Drops the football. Couple throws to Travis Kelce. What did he do? Drop the football. I think that Mahomes is most certainly still in that conversation, and we shouldn't overlook him. He's done it twice already. He's looking for his third. Obviously, he's looking for the Super Bowl as well, but he's still likely in that conversation.
You know what? I was actually about to say a false statement. I was going to say Hurts had a better year than him last year, but that's not true.
Because the
That's
injury
not true.
missed the 2 games.
Yeah, but my
Statistically didn't look
understanding is that Hurts got one vote.
Oh, I don't know. That sucks. That's true. I don't think that's right. That you might be right,
don't
but I
think
don't.
so.
I don't know. I don't think that's right. That doesn't sound right.
How many people voted? 5 people?
No, it's a lot of people. No, I think that
That's
as far
what I'm
as
saying,
as far as
one
leading
vote.
for me, from what I've seen, I'd probably give it to Mahomes. Just from what I'm seeing, I know he's under the best record, and record. I think, as you were saying this before we even started, I think record does matter. If the Eagles end with the best record in the NFL, I think he has a very high chance of winning it. Same with the like Lamar and the Ravens. If they have the best record in the NFL, Lamar's gonna have a high chance of being there. And I feel like it's gonna be really hard for the Eagles to lose a few more games and not have the best record in the NFL. Will it happen? I'm sure, because not everybody goes 16-1. Yeah, that just doesn't happen very often. So I'm sure you guys will drop a game. Luckily, it
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
against the Chiefs, so now the Ravens could be the number 1 seed in the AFC for a little bit. But
Hey, listen. You know what? I mean, that's a very valid point. Hey, what happens if these guys end up with the best record? You can't ignore that. If you ignore that, you're just completely biased.
hmm so that's why I think it's
Yeah.
really between those three teams. Obviously, the Dolphins, if they
I was
start
gonna
winning a lot
put
more
Tua in
games. Yep, Tua. But they're the 4 seed, I think, or the 3 seed in the AFC. They're not even the top 2 seeds. So I don't know. I think record does play a big time part in that kind of stuff.
I don't want to harp on it, but yeah, I like you said. Yeah, people love their news and their storyline. That's bothers. And again, I mainly just said it because I to say he has a better shot than Stroud. But yeah, um, is Hill still on pace to break Calvin Johnson's record?
Oh,
Like everyone's talking on that, but
I don't. I'm probably not, just because I know he sat out a bit last game,
mm,
and
but
I
yeah,
can
as far as
and I can
storyline,
guarantee if
everyone,
he's close, people are gonna start triple teaming him just so he doesn't get it.
Mhm.
just because,
Yeah.
yeah, people love storylines, and like even to this day, something that's funny when they say what's uncatchable, commentators especially, will define it. Oh, that's uncatchable even for Megatron at this, even what 5 6 years
Well,
after he
well, even
retired.
Tyreek is uncatchable.
Mm,
You know what I mean? No, I would love to see Tyreek win an MVP because he does mean so much to that Dolphins team. Like, he was fantastic with the Chiefs, and obviously Andy Reid set him up a lot of the time to allow him to hit that big play. But with the Dolphins, I feel like it's a different story. He's just getting open and making Tua's life a lot easier.
Yeah, they do some weird stuff to get them open though.
No, they have to, because teams are obviously gonna, key eye on him. He's gonna be the main focus every week. It's not. They're not gonna be the main. Raheem Mostert's not gonna be the main focus of that team. Jalen Waddle has not had a great season. He's not going to be the focus of that team.
He's also
Jalen Waddle's
not
regressed a lot since last year, unfortunately.
he's not also complete. Sorry, he's also not completely healthy though.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one. That's news to me. But yeah, I would love to see Tyreek win it. Christian McCaffrey. I think if Christian McCaffrey was going to win it, it would have been last year. But obviously, you're not going to beat out Mahomes. With the stats he put up last year, he had 5,000 yards passing and a lot of touchdowns. But I don't want to
Yeah,
spend too much time on this. But yeah, I would love to see a non-quarterback win it. It's just not going to happen. Just not where we're at in the NFL today.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about Jalen Hurts. We talked about Patrick Mahomes. Monday Night Football was fun to watch. It was a fun game. Eagles and Chiefs. Big. What'd you learn?
Um, I learned that the Eagles sometimes are very, very, very unprepared for games. um, at least that game, and Andy Reid. What's impressive about that win is that Andy Reid is one of those guys who's very, very he's very difficult to defeat out of a bye, and he has extra time. There was a lot of new wrinkles that you can see out there, and I think that the Eagles, they caught the Eagles off guard. I mean, I don't think they was ready for it, and um, they got handled in the first half. The punter didn't punt very well. He had several shanks. There was a lot of holding going on in that game,
Both sides,
and
though.
absolute
Both sides.
yeah. Yeah, to be fair, it was both sides. I think that it was cleaned up a lot in that second half.
I agree.
So
It was still there, though. It was still clearly there, but I do agree. It was tamed a bit.
man, right before the half, when the Chiefs scored, I believe the field goal, Jalen Carter was tackled. He was tackled, literally was tackled. And it was very clear and apparent that he was tackled. So I just think that they didn't. It just I don't know. It was just a weird game.
Mm.
Weird game.
It was. It was a
But
bit rainy.
and I hear a lot of people saying, "Well, Hurts can't throw the ball." That's an absolute joke.
Oh yeah.
If you give Hurts some time, I think he'll make some very good passes. He'll surprise you, and I think that he's, trying to think. Did he miss any passes that was open? Yeah, the one interception, which I've heard people say that AJ Brown gave up on the route. I don't know. I don't know what was in his head at that moment. So I don't want to pretend to know what was going on there. But you know what? It was a turnover, and Hurts a lot of a good number of Hurts' turnovers because people talk about this. I don't really attribute to Hurts, as being his fault. Hell, that was just an absolute bad read. At the end of the Jets game when he threw that interception, that was an awful read. And I'll be the first to say, what is this guy doing? But I don't think he's made a lot of bad reads or bad decisions. And, I'm not going to criticize him for having, a ton of turnovers this year.
Right. Okay, Vince. I know you didn't watch the game, but I know you did. You did watch the highlights a bit. Just from that perspective, what did you learn?
I'll start. Sorry, I'll start off by saying, if I remember right, I'm the only one who actually took Eagles to win it. Like, even
No,
Big was scared.
no. That doesn't mean he didn't take the Eagles to win the game. What do you mean?
He didn't think, like, he was literally scared to go into Kansas City and play the Chiefs at their home
Well, of
stadium.
course, it's the
Anyway,
Chiefs. It's the Chiefs off
yeah.
a bye at home in the rain.
I understand why.
It'd be a pretty scary game.
I think the Eagles are the best team in football. But anyway, off that, like you said, holding was problems. There's mainly three reasons to hold. Sorry, yeah, I'll say mainly. Don't get that twisted. And I'll harp on two of them. Holding's a result, two of the top three, of lazy blocking, or just the guys are just flat out tired and exhausted. But yeah, I thought I saw a lot of lazy blocking.
That's all you learned.
I'll keep it short and sweet, but
I thought
Okay.
I think that the Chiefs with a lot of those blitzes, those exotic blitzes which they're known for, the Eagles was not prepared for that. And I also don't think that Jalen Hurts readily, I'm not saying he's incapable. I'm saying he didn't readily in times identify the blitzing the defensive back, and I think that it kind of hurt him a little bit.
well, yeah, I was just saying. In general, there's three reasons to hold. Generally, it's being lazy blocking, the guy's being fatigued, or the guy's beat, and he's just going to say, "Oh, my quarterback's going to get smashed, so I'm going to hold him, try to prevent that."
Dude,
Generally, those are the three reasons to hold. It's either
I
you're
saw
lazy or you're just tired.
I saw a lot of I'm beat. I saw a lot of I'm beat holding. I don't know what you was looking at, bro, but there was a lot of look. Lane Johnson when he basically did the what do they do to the bullfighters? Do the Toro,
Hooray!
whatever it's called.
Well, very first one, it was Hassan Reddick. He literally got in because for whatever reason, he was 81, sorry, 83. That was extremely
On the
lazy.
Chiefs?
Yeah, tight end. That's the problem. They have a tight end
Noah
trying
Gray,
to
maybe?
block.
I don't know.
But
They
yeah, they have
love
tight
blocking
end.
a song with tight ends. Everybody does for some reason. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah,
They love blocking a
very
song with tight
first
ends.
very first play, Reddick sacked him because 83 basically just put two hands on him and then went out on her out.
I mean, no, wait. So Hassan Reddick was being chipped. They were chipping him.
I said very first play. Yeah, during the game he probably was. I think that's what the guy tried to do, but again, he did it. That's why I say it's lazy. He was so lazy about it. It's literally he extended his arms. Once he touched him, he went out on his route.
Right,
It was
because
very weak, very
that
lazy.
that's the chip.
He was probably
Just
the quick read.
Yeah.
right.
There was just very little effort. That's why I'm calling it lazy.
Yeah, I mean, I saw there was plays where they were finding him and they were just literally having the guy on the edge just chip him each and every play.
But when you chip, you still have offensive linemen pick him up after the chip. Literally on the first play, it was a chip, and no one else touched him.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, maybe he had too much dip on his chip.
A little too much. Just a little, a tad. No, but as far as what I've learned from that Chiefs Eagles game, just watching it, that the Eagles are by far the best team in the NFL because they're not even playing their best football, and that's what scares me. They just beat, and it's circumstances that they're winning as well. Obviously, they were winning these games that were close, but they're still winning them. It doesn't matter. They just played the Chiefs at home after their bye week in the weather. They turned the ball over. It didn't matter. They got their own turnovers. They did what they had to do to win the football game. They set obviously the Chiefs. There's the stat. Obviously, they were the worst team in the second half as far as like scoring points. I could care less. The Eagles played fantastic. They still scored on this Chiefs defense that's looked phenomenal. So I think the Eagles are by far the best team in the NFL by like a wide margin too. And I'm talking AFC and NFC. It's not just the NFC. It's the entire NFL. And when they can start clicking, and it's going to be scary. And as far as the Chiefs, I feel like the Chiefs needed to make a move for an offensive weapon that they can rely on outside of Kelsey. I think that they messed up not doing so, and it's going to hurt them. And if they have a chance at the Super Bowl, which they'll be there, they're always in that conference championship range. It seems like it's gonna be that defense. That defense is gonna have to get them there. Mahomes can make plays. They got some players that can run the ball a bit. And they got a defense. That's how they're gonna have to win the Super Bowl if they have a shot this year. That's what I've learned based off that game at least.
Right. Good point.
Okay.
Yeah, that it for Eagles Chiefs.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. What did you learn? And I was gonna ask you guys who has the best chance of the Super Bowl, but I think we kind of all answered I think you guys kind of answered it already by what I heard from you.
Eagles, yeah, and then FC's closer, but
Well, no, I was just talking about these two teams. I don't want to get into like your Super Bowl. We already kind of talked about our Super Bowl picks. I just meant like
yeah,
as far as these two teams, who do you see having the best shot? And I think what it taught me is the Eagles.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, as long as you don't have anything else to say, I do want to get into that Jets Bills game. Just because just because the Bills played a lot better after they changed made the OC change. Obviously, it is against the Jets, but the Jets still have a phenomenal defense. That's the only loss on the Eagles' record. Obviously, it was because of their defense.
Yeah, they played great. Absolutely.
And so, are the Bills back? Do you think they're back after that win?
No.
Just because it was Jets, but like you'll have to prove more than one game against us. You'll
I
have
think
to
that
prove more than that.
man, the Jets offense is so abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you got to help the defense out. I don't care how good your defense is. Oh, eventually, of coming into the game 3 and out, going back out the game, having to do that rinse and repeat. Eventually, you wear it down, and I think that's how the Eagles win. They wear teams down, and you know what? The Jets got wore down. There was a couple passes, and you can say they were dimes, or you can say they were luck. 3 inches to the right, it's a pick. 3 inches to the left, it might be a pick. The ball just was, going the way that they needed to go. There was a pass that Sauce got in her hand. It looked like it was just right there, ready to just grab it, and it just was a little out of his reach, and it went for 6.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, it's a bad read. He's throwing a ball to a guy that's covering. People call them 50-50 balls. I think 50-50 balls are exactly what they are. They're luck. This is why it's called 50-50. You're like, hey, there's a chance it's going to break. Chance that it's going to bite us in the butt. But you know what? I get you have to take some of those sometimes. But I just don't think that, you can't make a living with 50-50 balls.
I hear you. I think that's just Josh Allen's game. I think that's just what it is. That's just how he's gonna play. That's how his career is gonna go.
Right.
Regardless of who's the OC.
That's fair.
Because Vince, do you have any take on this?
Not much of a take, but I did watch it. Again, all I said is, yeah, to answer your question, just make sure I answered, yeah. I don't think Bills are back. You have to prove more than just one game, especially after a rough 5 to 6 week stretch. One game's not going to undo 5 to 6 weeks, in my mind.
And I agree, and I definitely agree. I think that it is just one game. It's a Sunday football game. It can go either way. But the Bills did score 32 on that Jets defense. I know the offense, like you said, the offense wasn't helping. It was abysmal offense. That's why they benched Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's now the third string quarterback for the Jets. They said that yesterday, I think. Third string quarterback. He went from being the starter the past couple weeks to being the third string quarterback. We'll see what happens. Obviously, A-Rod comes back mid-December, I believe he said. That's his timetable as far as when he wants to come back. I don't know if the Jets can get into a position where it even makes sense for him to return. It'd be nice to see it, but I just don't know.
They're not going to survive.
It's going to be really hard to see them. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to see that happening. As far as the Bills, I feel like it's good to get a win. Granted, it's against the Jets. It is a divisional opponent, so that helps a little bit, right? That makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. And it was a big win, too. It wasn't just a small win. The Bills have a tough schedule coming up. They're playing some of these tougher teams, like the Eagles. I think they play the Chiefs, too. I don't know. They have some tougher games, what I'm trying to say here. And I do want to see them try to stay competitive against some of these teams and get some of these wins.
Well, that's the only thing keeping the Jets alive. If you can argue whether they are or not, but that's the only thing keeping them alive is Bill's schedule, because obviously it's the Dolphins division, but Jets have a chance at one of the wild cards.
Well, the Jets got to win their games too. They can't keep letting people lose theirs. They got to start winning.
No game, but the schedule the Bills have, if the Bills lose and the Jets win their games, obviously, then you have a chance. But because Patriots are making a comeback.
But it does also depend on what A-Rod we get mid-December too, if they can keep it afloat, right? Like we might not get MVP type Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? Because he's only played one drive with the Jets this year. Obviously outside of the preseason, we don't know what kind of A-Rod the Jets have. It'd be nice to see him in the playoffs, but I don't know with just how the Jets look right now. It's going to be hard to see them do anything. And then, the Bills, I just want to see the Bills stay consistent. I don't know if the OC change really did much, to be honest with you. I feel like their OC wasn't bad. I don't think Ken Dorsey was the worst OC in the world. They just fired him to fire him because they want to throw somebody under the bus, and it happened to be Ken Dorsey. I don't know. We'll have to see as far as the weeks go on what happens and how that offense is now with Joe Brady. But it's going to take some time.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
That's all I got on that.
We're keeping it nice and short today. I like this as far as editing goes. It's because we don't have Elmo and Matt, obviously. That helps. But it's gotta be Bears and Lions. We're talking about a team that also is contention in the NFC with the Lions. They're are they the 2 seed? They might be the 2 seed. It's them or the Niners. They're the 2 seed. They just beat the Bears in a wild fashion. They trailed by 12 with 4 minutes left in that game. Jared Goff obviously didn't have the best game, but it didn't matter. They got the win. Are the Lions the second best team in the NFL? And we'll get to the Bears, but I want to ask you that. Do you guys think the Lions are the second best team in the NFL?
No. And I think that I say that because you saw when they came across a quality opponent in the Baltimore Ravens, Jared Goff turned back into a pumpkin.
Oh yeah.
No, I get it. That vaulted, vaulted Ravens defense. Of all,
I think Roquan calls it the death row defense. I think that's what he called it.
It has something to do with it, and I get it.
Sure didn't matter to the Bengals.
So definitely not the second best team in the league. A better question is are they the second best in the NFC? I would say that, but we've already established that best team in the league has been in the NFC anyway. But
just the NFC, Vince. Are they the second best team in the NFC?
Vince, you all right, dude?
I'll place them forward down NFC behind the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vince, you all right, man? Your voice is like, you sound like you about to fall out the chair, dude. And you're like talking with a slur now. You're like, at least that's what I'm hearing.
I ran out of my drink about an hour and a half ago, but yeah,
Dude, go get something to
I'm
drink.
good.
Do you hear him, Dwight?
Yeah, you need something. Go get something to drink. It's okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, I think the Lions do have a chance to be the second best team in the NFL. I think that they have the pieces around it. I think that they have the coaching around it. I just think that they need to put it in fruition and show that they can do it and beat these better teams, like you were saying. They haven't really proven it, and I think if they can prove it, I think they are the second best team in the NFL.
Well, they did beat the Chiefs early in the season. I know you said a week 1 win is.
I don't take week 1 wins into account. Just like I was gonna say the Ravens beat the Texans in Houston is week 1, but again, week 1 I don't take week 1 into account.
Sorry, quick question. Because you were asking me my rankings of teams, was it last night or the night before?
It was last night.
And you had a huge problem when I put the Lions over the Ravens. Now you're saying
yeah, because the Ravens. Yeah, because the Ravens blew out the goddamn the Lions.
Yeah, but they're so inconsistent as all the Lions. But that was my problem with not knowing who to put there. Sorry, who to put over the other, as both teams are inconsistent. Excuse me.
Okay, real quick, big. Who are the top 3 teams in the NFL? You don't have to rank. You don't have to rank them. Just who do you think the top 3 teams in the NFL are? I'm just curious because we had this conversation yesterday. Yeah, we agreed.
Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Lions.
That's 4. But
and what do you feel about the Niners?
I think they're number 5.
Okay, so I said it was the Eagles, the Chiefs, and then the Niners.
Now you're saying Lions beat all of them except Philly. So
no. I said the question was, Vince, who's the second best team in the NFC, not the NFL, the NFC.
Right.
I would NFL, but even then, beforehand, I think you had Niners before Lions. Even
I still do. I still think that I didn't say that they are the second best team in the NFL or the NFC. Okay. I said that they can be because they have the pieces and the coaching. They just need to prove it by beating some of these better teams.
Second best. That's what it sounded like.
No, I think that they can be. I think that they have the tools to do so. But they need to show me something. And it's not a Cowboy situation where it's like they're only good against bad teams. I think that the Lions are good as good can be. I think they can be there with the Eagles, but they gotta prove it. That they gotta show that they can do it.
Right.
And so I'm still waiting for that for the Lions. But I think that they are a top 3 team in the NFC. And I think the NFC is a weird conference because I feel like it is like super top heavy, and then the rest of the teams kind of fall off. So come playoff team, it's gonna be weird, and I feel like we're gonna be harping on those matchups between the Lions, the Niners, and then the Eagles, of course. Obviously the Cowboys, but they usually get bounced in the first round. So we'll have to see. Playoffs aren't for another 7-8 weeks, so So still a lot of football to talk about.
The interesting thing about a lot of these teams at the top is that I think that a lot of them match up very, very well against each other. So we're going to start seeing some really, really good, solid football. I know the NFL, it seems like they really are putting together some of these stretches of games that they deem to be good games. I wish they don't do that. I like to see good quality football all season long. Mm-hmm. And I want to see some of these, quote, top teams challenged a little bit more during the season. You should have to wait till week 8.
I agree.
To see what we're going to get between, with the Cowboys or the Eagles. The top 2 teams, because in my opinion, the Chiefs has had a really good, their schedule has been pretty, it's been a good schedule. They played some good teams, but teams like, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys, there's no way that the Panthers should be on their schedule. I'm sorry. There's no way that they're not playing, just better quality teams. They should be facing basically the same schedule that the Eagles are playing. I get why the Commanders are not playing that schedule. But the Cowboys went to what, the second round? What was it, second round? Divisional game last year?
The Cowboys?
Yeah,
then they had to have been. No, we would have talked to them. They would have been division. Okay, I'll look it up, but go ahead.
Oh, no. Was that the, let's see, their first round? Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was they got bounced in a wild card. They got bounced in a wild card.
Cowboys
They
playoff
typically
history.
do,
No,
though.
no. They did go to the divisional game. They played Tom.
Okay.
They beat Tom Brady, and then they went to played the Niners.
I like
Right.
how you just said they beat Tom Brady, like just Tom Brady, not the team he plays for.
Vince, if Tom Brady wasn't on the Bucks, were the Bucks going to the playoffs?
Heck no.
Exactly. They
I
beat Tom
agree.
I'm
Brady.
just pointing out. It's funny that you said that.
That's gonna be Tom Brady's last career game, unless he comes back again. Is that lost to the
Beyond
Cowboys?
he's not doing that, but
Oh no, I know he's not coming back, but I know there's some psychos that believe he will come back. It's like flat earthers. People are thinking Tom Brady's still coming back.
Listen, in 20 years from now, dudes are gonna be talking about Tom Brady still playing football. Like he's like the Elvis of football, bro.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
90-year-old
You know
man.
how on April Fool's Day they post a whole bunch of stuff like this year it was I think Calvin Johnson's coming out of retirement, Barry Sanders like they're gonna post Tom Brady coming out of retirement and people are gonna believe it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It wouldn't surprise me.
Listen, dude, they playing a joke like that really like ruins some dudes' days.
It does. It does though. It really does. No. What were we saying? Why would we bring up the Cowboys?
Yeah, we were just talking about the Lions beating a good quality team.
This is what I wanted to say. As far as schedule goes, a lot of these matchups are determined 4 years in advance. Like you can look at the Eagles' schedule in 2027. Like you can still look at the schedule. You don't have the dates, but you have their home and away opponents. Like you can find that stuff online. Because the schedule makers have already made all this stuff. The only thing we don't know is the time and the day. There are also real quick, Vince. Hold on. There are also some opponents that aren't determined, like 2 or 3 a year. That's based off of seeding from division. So say the Ravens will play the top team in the East because they're the top team in the North. It depends. There's certain games like that, but as far as like the rest of the games, they're already determined in advance.
Right.
Anyway, that's all I was gonna say when Big was like, why are the Cowboys playing the Panthers? Like, yeah, the schedule's made before the season even starts, obviously, and well before that, actually, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's way before it, and I think that they should look into changing that because I agree. Nobody wants to watch a top team like the Cowboys play one of the worst teams in the league like the Panthers. I feel like even Cowboys fans, granted, they look at it as like, oh, it's cool, it's a free win, but at the same time, well, maybe not because it's Cowboy fans we're talking about here. As a Ravens fan, I would like to see my team be contested a little bit. I like a game against the Bengals before the Joe Burrow injury. I was looking forward to because I was like, this is a chance for us to actually have a good, play a good game against the divisional opponent that's looked at as pretty solid. At least that's playing better than what they were at the beginning of the year. So I don't know. I feel like maybe they should look to change something like that. But they probably won't. Let's be honest.
And it actually allows you to gauge like where your team is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the Eagles beating the Chiefs. I think that shows a lot, right? For both sides. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think that the scheduling is a little funky, but I guess it is what it is. I do want to talk about the Bears because they did just lose this game in a bad fashion. They were winning it majority of the game. They forced Jared Goff to throw some bad passes. Justin Fields didn't look too bad. At least he showed flashes of what he could be. And I kind of feel like this is a make or break season for Matt Eberflus, and as crazy as that sounds, I know it's his first or second year. I think it's his first year. I'm pretty sure it's his first year. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure one of you guys will tell me. But Matt Eberflus, make or break. I feel like they're in a situation where they might get a new coordinator, a new quarterback, a new general manager. They might just go clean slate next year based off how this season's going. And how do you guys feel? Should they look into doing this kind of stuff? This kind of not rebrand, but this kind of clean slate.
I kind of already answered this question.
Oh no, we've definitely talked. We've definitely talked about this before, but I feel like it's been a couple weeks, and I feel like it's I think we can kind of get a true idea.
I say no. I think that if you're going to hire a coach, irregardless of where you finish, you got to give him at least 3 to 4 seasons, because a lot of, especially if you invested draft picks and things of that nature into these guys, you got to be able to see what you got and see if these coaches can actually develop these players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can hear me and my hand's not covering up the mic too.
We hear you. We hear you. You're good.
Yeah. Quarterback, I don't think they changed from Fields. Coaching staff, I'm less certain of. But
Well, that's my biggest thing. You can't keep the quarterback and not keep the coach.
I get that to a degree, but
I almost feel like if they get rid of one of them, they're getting rid of both of them. I feel like if anything, they're gonna get rid of Fields more so than Eberflus because he, like Big said, he they just kind of got him, and they got 2 top 5 picks coming up in this draft. It's gonna allow the coach to grab the guys that he wants to be able to make the team that he wants. So I feel like if anything, I feel like Matt Eberflus is more safe than Justin Fields is.
cool.
I feel like when it comes to these teams, like these teams that are not very good, these bottom end teams, there really should be a marriage between the general manager and the head coach.
100%.
And if the GM is screwing you and not bringing in talented guys, what this is the National Football League. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
And looking at it, it looks like Matt Eberflus is a second-year head coach. I did want to double check myself because I wasn't 100% sure. This is his second year.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, Whitman's. I was gonna say yeah. That's your take.
I was gonna say give him 3 years is like the minimum I'd be the coach, but
yeah, you need at least 3 seasons.
I agree, but I've also seen what a good connection from the head, and this is why I think if anything, Matt's safer than Justin is, and I think Justin has been he's been getting hate, and I don't necessarily see why.
That's where I'm at. That's why I don't really think they replace him, because he's kind of getting blamed for stuff that's not even on him, but.
And I understand he's got injury. He had injuries early in the season, and he's not playing like a top 15 quarterback. And if you draft a quarterback high, you expect that, especially with a guy that's been in the league for a few years. He showed promise last year. But would you say that they have better targets this year than they did last year?
Yeah.
Just with DJ Moore alone, right? They did
DJ Moore is a little beast.
They did bring in DJ Moore, and he's still not having the production that I think we kind of expected. I think we all kind of expected him to make a jump, and I don't think any of us have seen it.
His line hasn't been the best, but I think his line's probably worse this year than it was last year, despite them drafting a tackle.
I was gonna say they drafted that tackle. So you think that they should retool and just keep it how they have it with the same coach, same quarterback, and maybe draft a receiver, draft a lineman or something?
I would not be surprised at all if that's what happens now. That's what I would do personally, probably. But
okay, but what if they're in the running for the number 1 pick, which is likely because they have two top 5 picks.
It's very likely. I would still probably take Harrison over Caleb, but.
I don't know how you can pass up on a guy that's looked at as generational. Is he going to be generational? We'll see, because obviously these guys get these names and they end up not doing so well. Like look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is not a bad quarterback at all, and he's pretty solid actually. We're talking maybe top 10 probably maybe. He was the number 1 pick. People looked at him like he was a generational type guy. Caleb has more hype than even he does, but Trevor Lawrence has proven that he's a pretty good quarterback, but he's not the guy that we expected him to be. I think a lot of us to be a top 3. Yeah, and Caleb's right after him, right? I just feel like how can you pass up on a guy like that, especially for the fan base? Look at the fan base alone, right?
What would you do if Caleb goes back another year?
You still got Drake May as an option. Drake May is very fantastic as well.
In that case, would that be like, okay, now we still take May over Harrison, even though there's a chance they can get both if they actually.
I was gonna say there's a high chance that they can get both, Vince.
But say they have the 1 or the 2nd and then the 5th. So either first or second, then on top of that, the 5th. You're probably not going to get Harrison with the 5th.
That's true, but you can always draft a tackle. There's plenty of good tackles with the 5th pick too. If you say the line's bad, again, they just drafted a tackle last year, so I don't know.
Well, one tackle, one offensive line's composed of 5 people.
I hear
Drafting
you.
one person will make a difference, but it's not going to fix all your problems.
They still have Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins they just drafted a couple years ago. They just obviously got Darnell Wright.
I think I may be wrong, but I think he struggled with being healthy this year a few games. But
I'm just not set on Justin Fields being their franchise guy, and I like Justin too. Like I said, I think he's being hated on a little too much. But I feel like if they're gonna get a quarterback and they have the opportunity with these 2 top 5 picks to get a guy that they really like, I feel like this is the draft to do it. And they can pair it with a guy like that dude from Penn State, that tackle from Penn State, or even Marvin if they have the chance. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. Not Joe Alt. Joe Alt maybe, but I would think probably the Penn State tackle. Much bigger dude. He's a mauler. I think he's the better tackle as of right now. But anyways, yeah. We're not talking about the draft. We're not getting to the draft because that's just not what we're doing. But yeah, I would like Eberflus to have the call. I would allow the organization to give the head coach the call for who they take, whether it be quarterback or Marvin Harrison or whatnot. Because as long as Eberflus likes the guy that he has, it's his fault for whatever the Bears become in the future.
Right. I absolutely agree with that.
And then if they want to fire him because they made a bad call, and that's what's tough because obviously how many teams are in the situation where they have a chance to draft a generational guy or even, it's tough, but yeah.
Even 2 of them, yeah.
I would like Eberflus to make the call. If it was my call, I would not tank, but I would go after one of these top quarterbacks. Just because I'm not sure if Justin Fields' ceiling is still as high as we all thought it was. At least as far as I thought it was.
I mean, yeah, he's been inconsistent. He's had great games here and then terrible the next.
Basically, gonna start calling us he's a Bears fan.
I was gonna say, did I freeze again?
No, just listening, Vince.
Mm-hmm.
You got like these 3-word takes. Like I don't know how to respond to them because you'll say like 3 words and then it's just dead silence because I'm expecting you to say more.
Okay. Well, I've been struggling to speak tonight. It sounds like so. Keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, you have. But good win for the Lions. I do want to say that. Good win for the Lions. I do want to see them prove themselves. And as far as the Bears go, just find something that works for them, right? They got to look at something going forward because their season they're not making the playoffs this year. So find a way to make something work. Obviously, winning hurts their draft stock, but they have the Panthers pick still. Just find something that they can carry into next season. That's what I would do if I was the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you guys... go ahead.
I was just going to say tanking.
No, don't tank. Don't tank.
I was going to say you can't really do that as a coach.
No, the Panthers are doing that job for them. They don't need to do that.
I was going to say, 1, you should try to lose, period. But 2, you tank and you in the season with what do they have now? 5 wins? Not 5.
They wish they had 5 wins.
I'm on track. Probably 3 wins, right?
I don't know how much exactly, but I think 3.
You in on 3 wins, there's a risk of you getting fired as a coach, even if this is only your second year.
Oh no, exactly. There's the high chance. Exactly, that's what I was saying. That's why I probably wanted to bring it up because I would like to see him stay. I think you guys would like to see him stay, but there's a very high chance that he is gone. That him and Justin are both gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious on what you guys thought about it. Because we see all the time 1-year coaches get fired, 2-year coaches second-year coaches get fired. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Look at who was the Texans coach last year? I forgot his name.
I don't know, but he only lasted
Lovey?
probably 2.
Lovey Smith.
Lovey.
Yeah, Lovey. 1-year, first-year coach. Well, not obviously not his first year coaching in the NFL, but he's definitely experienced. But first-year coaching that Texans team, out of there. And it was based off record, of course. But imagine if they gave Lovey the reins this year, would we still see the same old Texans? Would C.J. Stroud be having the same season? We don't know. I think D'Amico's a great coach. I think that helps. But what if Lovey was the coach? Would he be doing the same things? It's possible, right? Maybe. I don't know. We'd have to see. But
I think Lovey's a defense guy, though. Well,
D'Amico's a defensive guy. Yeah, D'Amico's not.
I was going to say
No
D'Amico is
offensive
too,
but but yeah, I would like to see Eberflus stay. Same with Frank Reich, just because they drafted Bryce and he's gonna have that guy. I don't like seeing young quarterbacks losing their coach because I feel like that messes them up. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look what he had to deal with. He had to deal with like 4 different coaches in his 5 years with the Browns or something like that, or it was something crazy. He had different coordinators, and it just never really worked out for him.
He had 2, if not 3, coaches in 1 year. Yeah,
and it's that's just so tough for anybody to overcome. But yeah, that's all I had to say on the Bears and Lions. And then this is the last game of the week that I kind of want to go through. Not because it was necessarily a great game or a team proved something to me, just because, it brought something to my attention that I didn't really think about until I was watching the game. And it's the Bengals and Ravens game, Thursday Night Football. Obviously, there was a lot of injuries. Ravens got the win, but it was also slightly because of Joe Burrow's injury. He's out for the season now. I don't remember quite exactly what the injury is, but he's out for the season.
Something to do with his wrist.
Yeah, it's like a wrist injury.
And so for one, does that tank the Bengals season? I think we're all going to agree there. But for two, is Joe Burrow kind of an injury? Is he an injury-prone quarterback?
Yeah. It's becoming more and more.
That's a good question.
It seems like that more and more, yeah.
Because he missed the second half of his rookie year due to an injury. Obviously, he's dealing with the injury at the beginning of this year that he sustained in what's it called? I'm going to say preseason. I'll just say practice. He sustained an injury in practice, which is not practice. He sustained an injury doing something like that. And he's missed more games in his career than Lamar has, and Lamar's been in the league longer. And all I see is Lamar's injury prone. And I'm just thinking, like, Joe Burrow is going to miss more games than Lamar has, and Lamar's been in the league longer.
Right. Yeah. I think you actually bring up a very valuable point. Listen, as you said earlier, the best ability is the what? Availability. So if Joe is missing all these games, it's just a matter of time before his team begins to fill his loss. I believe they got no, actually I'm thinking about the Browns. Yeah, it's just a matter of time before they start seeing, filling his losses, and we're going to start seeing, what happens with that, and they're going to potentially have to move on from him. And
that is a very long shot, just because when he's on the field, he is phenomenal. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably one of the top 3 in the AFC. I guess depending on where you see him.
Right.
So that is hard to see, especially if he can stay healthy. But like you said, he just finds a way to get injured. And I feel like last year he stayed relatively healthy. But if he keeps getting injured, it is going to be kind of hard for the Bengals to be like, hey, we can keep this guy, for the next 10 years on a massive contract.
Yep. I agree.
Go ahead, Vince. I had nothing to say. I was just going to say last year, yeah, when he was on, I'd agree with top 3 in the AFC.
And then,
that's all I had.
And real quick, if you guys didn't know, Mark Andrews, the injury was supposed to be the season ender. He actually has a chance to play in the late in the playoffs. The injury wasn't as bad as suspected.
Do you know what it was?
Oh, he fractured. I don't remember exactly. He fractured something. It was a real bad ankle injury as well.
Lamar came back almost instantly, so that was probably something.
Lamar has tweaked it. Lamar has had a tweaked ankle for a little bit, but he said he's good now. He said he's fine. In an interview, he said he's 100%. Obviously, quarterbacks they'll skew that, but he looked fine. He looked good. He even did a little jog around to show the interviewers. That was kind of funny to see. He's doing fine. So I don't expect that to be an issue anymore. But yeah, it's cool to see that Mark isn't losing the season if the Ravens can make a long playoff push.
Right.
But with the injuries that were sustained in the Thursday night football game, this is what I really want to talk about. Um, it's not going to happen. But do you think that Thursday night football should be canceled? Like, do you think that they should maybe make it a Saturday game instead of making that short week for a lot of teams, where it can become an injury riddled game?
Yeah.
And I know it's so hard.
I like it. I like having a game during the week, but yeah, I get it. You're saying would there be less injuries if it was over the weekend, but
Well, no, I'm not saying there's less
again,
injuries. I'm not saying that because injuries are going to happen. Like I like Joe's injury. Maybe actually Joe's injury because it was kind of like a wrist thing. Maybe his would have been prevented. But like Mark's injury, the guy landed on his leg. You're not gonna be able to prevent that,
Mhm.
regardless of when it is.
I say there would be injuries. I said there might be less. But
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. I'm just saying but the question, Vince, real quick, was just do you think they should? They're not going to.
yeah, they're not going to. But that's why I'm saying, do I like having football in the middle of the week? So it gives me something in the middle of the week instead of just weekend.
You little
Yeah.
selfish. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Uh,
absolutely, it's nice.
yeah. I don't have a strong take on it, but again, as a fan, I think it's more fan friendly to have something during the week.
And that's why they won't.
But
And that's why they won't. That's why they won't ever cancel it,
hmm
because not only is it fan friendly, but it's also bringing in money because of
that's what I was gonna say. It's more fan friendly to have it, but probably more player friendly not to. But
But as far as player safety goes and preparation, because those guys are sore on Thursday. They're still feeling the effects from the Sunday game that they just played. And obviously, once they play the Thursday night game, they get an extra week, or not an extra week, but they get like a semi bye week almost. So I guess they have the extra recovery there, but obviously, the 4 days after playing a game, it is so tough as far as preparation and well being for them. What do you think, Big?
I agree. But we know that it's not going to happen simply because of the revenue that Thursday night games bring in, particularly as it pertains to TV and sponsorships. So
Mm-hmm.
no, the NFL likely will not look to do anything like that because and then they make all these stinks about player safety is our highest priority, but yet when you have guys play on a short week, I think that absolutely impacts player safety. So yeah, I don't agree with that.
So you would like to
well, they get
see?
hit during practice too, so it's not they're gonna get hit either way. But
Players rarely get hurt during practice. I mean, dude, they're not out there going full contact
I would say unless it's
in practice.
like the only injury that we really see in practice is like non-contact injuries.
Yeah, I mean, dude might tear ACL in practice because the dude is showing off. Well, I ain't gonna say showing off. Let me, not be an idiot.
going too hard on routes, trying to make it quick, etc. Yeah.
Right.
No, I think, I think, and I agree with you too, Vince. I do enjoy the Thursday night game, having it there. Um, Obviously this Thursday is a special occasion because it's Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. I think the Thursday night games are enjoyable to watch and have that. But I feel like maybe they should make it to where the week before the Thursday night game, maybe you have a bye week, right? Maybe give them their bye and then give them the Thursday night game. Something like that, so they can be healthy for the Thursday night game. Because it also feels like the Thursday night games are one of the weaker games of the week because those guys are so tired and exhausted from the Sunday night game, or not Sunday night, but Sunday game in general. That's not the best product on the field either. Like I haven't really seen a Thursday night game where it's been a fantastic game. Even the Ravens Bengals game, obviously the injuries didn't help that, but it wasn't a great game as far as like a viewing experience.
Is it going to go away completely? No, but at the same time, for the most part, 4 days is a decent time to heal up. If you just take it easy for 4 days, 3 days, whatever, you can typically get it. Well, it won't be 100% now. So don't understand what I'm saying. But at the same time, are we making too big of a deal about it at the moment?
That's like 3 extra days of healing, Vince.
It
that you're
is,
missing.
but I'm saying 3 or 4 days of healing by itself can heal quite a bit. Like you get a Steno, that's probably gone. Almost 4th or 5th day, yeah.
Are you disagreeing with yourself? I'm so confused.
No, I'm just saying. Like I'm trying not to make a too big of a deal about it. Is what I'm trying not to
But
do.
then you just said 3 days is a big deal. I don't know if you're disagreeing with yourself or
Yeah,
what.
I'm kind of. I'm not saying yes. 3 days is.
And don't get me wrong. Like even players can't even heal. Like it's still even just 1 week of healing still isn't enough to heal some of these guys. Like some of the stuff that they deal with.
Yeah, if you have a break or something, it's gonna definitely take more. But I'm just saying, like a Steno bruise, etc. That's probably gonna go away in 4 days. But
And also, and does every team play a Thursday night game, or did they change that?
I don't know. I have no clue, honestly.
Because
Yeah,
again, what they could do is every team plays only one Thursday night football game a year, and they get their one bye before the game. I feel like it's not a hard thing to do, right? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not that hard, especially if every team plays one. I don't know if they still do. I know they used to. They might have changed it because obviously they want a better viewing experience. Even though they're forcing me to watch the Giants every goddamn Sunday night, but we won't talk about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not gonna want crappy teams, yeah, on Thursday night.
But we still
Especially-
get crappy games regardless. It doesn't matter what
You
know.
do, but I don't feel like it happens as often on Thursday as it does on Sunday.
No,
But-
we have. What's the best Thursday night football game we've had? I want to go through some of these games. I'm not asking you the question. I'm just curious if you can name any because
Okay.
I have not watched a Thursday night. I have not watched a good Thursday night football game.
Obviously,
year.
well, Ravens Bengals would have been good if not for Bora getting hurt. But
Exactly, but it was because he got hurt. It doesn't matter. That game was still not good to watch.
like that has nothing to do with like they have no. They say okay, we're gonna make a good game. Have Bengals Ravens. They have no control over a guy getting hurt there. They did their part and made that game.
If they had the bye week
But-
before and he could get healthy for a week,
Yeah.
would that have helped?
Yeah, you know the answer to that. before you
Exactly,
ask the question.
exactly. Again, the Mark injury is unfortunate. That's gonna happen. But yeah, I feel like the Joe Burrow could have easily been avoidable.
So do you think it was just like a stress fracture? Well, no, a stress fracture would take all season to heal. So no, but
Again, I don't know what Joe Burrow's injury is. I just know that he's out for the rest of the season. Big, what game are you looking forward to?
Eagles Bills.
Eagles, Bills.
It's going to be definitely, I think, an interesting game, especially with them coming into Philadelphia, them being a cold weather team. It's going to be a fun game, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good. I think that the Eagles are the Eagles, so I think they'll be okay. I think this is a good chance to see what that the Bills are with that new OC and see what they can do against a better team. Even if they still lose, but they only lose by like 4, if they can show that they're still a physical team that can compete with some of these higher end talent, it'll make me feel better about them. I think going forward. I'll let Vince look at his game because he's gonna take an hour or two.
yeah, you go.
I think the game that I'm most looking forward to this week is the Jags and the Texans game, because like I said, I think this is gonna be I think this game's gonna determine who wins the South. I think if the Jags win, I think it's their division to lose because they'll have the 2-game lead. Because the Texans have a very very easy schedule. Like it doesn't look very tough going forward for the Texans. But if the Texans can beat the Jags and keep it an even record, I think the Texans have the easier opponents going forward. They can win those games and make their way to winning the South. But if the Jags win, I think it's their division to lose, and I feel like that it's gonna be hard for them to lose that.
Okay. Not overly excited about any of these games, honestly, but the only thing is you said Gina's been struggling a little bit.
No, Gino's still.
health-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. Gino's been struggling with. He's got a health issue.
I was gonna say Seahawks Niners maybe as my pick.
Okay, just because you think the Niners don't have. You think the Niners are gonna lose to the Seahawks?
They've been inconsistent where, yeah, they've got blown out by teams they should have smashed. But
So Gino will play on Thanksgiving. The injury he has is, if I can find it, A bruise to the triceps area. Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was something worse.
Like if it's your left, that's not that big of a deal. But
I'm looking it up. Hold on.
if it's your throwing arm, obviously that's completely different. But
Pete Carroll said he looks fine. It's good that he can move the arm a bit.
he can move it a bit, or he can move it fine. There's a difference.
It says he's throwing, so I mean that's a good sign.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I do want to bring one game up because you didn't bring it up. I think that the Falcons and Saints game has a similar feeling to the Texans and Jags as far as like whoever wins that game. I feel like is kind of the division is going to win the division. I did want to bring that up because it was another game that I did kind of see on there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's week 11. It is week 11, right? I'm not getting my weeks mixed up. This was week 11.
Week 11 was this past one.
Yeah. This is the week 11 podcast though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for week 11. Going into week 12, do you guys have any final closing statements? Any other conversation you want to talk about?
Oh, go Birds, baby.